Welcome, folks. Samson to Labrador Public Radio. Once again, we're on here again this evening. We say thank you very much. Thank you for joining us again this evening. Safety, Lord Jesus. We want to thank you again this evening, bringing you back together. Lord, we ask you to protect us, and we ask you to be with us here tonight as we come out. Lord, please help us guide our tongues. Give us wisdom as we come on here to discuss what it is that we have to discuss with our brothers and sisters. My Lord, you, the only person that have the power to bless all of us. And we ask you to give us a blanket of blessing. Lord Jesus, we also ask you to please bless the country of the Republic of Liberia. Bless the leaders of the Republic of Liberia. Give them wisdom to do what is good for our people. My Lord, bless the host country, the United States of America. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, folks, just give me a minute here. Hold on. Give me a minute while we get something going here. Again, folks, Samson told LeBron Peru, we're trying to get some things going here. So, tonight program, Mr. So, as I stated to you yesterday, he's still doing some serious investigation and on cover to bring you some wonderful news. And hopefully, when he comes here, we will ask him exactly what will be the result. But it's very interesting. I want to thank all of you again tonight. We will be discussing. It's an open mic. And so immediately after maybe 10, 15 minutes or so, I'm going to open a line for folks to have a conversation with us. Okay. So just bear with us. Just bear with us as we try to do the best here this evening. Okay. So, okay. Why did I not? Okay. All right. So anyhow, I will be joined here by two of my colleagues, Mr. Emma Joyce, and then of course the one that I call the gentleman that I call ANC legislature analyst will be joining us here tonight as well. I love this young man. You know, when God gets something out, he brings in another one. Of we have with us here, Mr. Zagro, Isaac Zagro, who is now the MCSS superintendent. And we were real wonderful together. I mean, he works with us fine. It doesn't matter what you throw at him. He has nothing in him to say he hates or what have you. He just loves to have the conversation. And in fact, I usually call him CDC professor. And but we've been joined now by Jonathan, and who again I another guy that I style ANC legislature analyst, and he also, just like Professor CDC professor, he didn't take offense to the name, and in fact he relished that, and it doesn't matter what I say, we have a wonderful conversation. So let me bring the young man on now and see how far we're gonna go this evening. Jay, how you doing, sir? And your
Sorry,
mic. Check your mic. Check your mic.
yes, I've unmuted myself.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, but you have to tune your mic up a little bit higher.
Uh,
You got it?
yes, you getting
Okay,
me?
much better.
Okay,
Much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Eh,
Okay, it's still a little bit low, but we'll figure it out. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's an open mic. It's an open mic. Mr. So is on assignment, and he will be back here hopefully by tomorrow or day after the most. And we're also hoping to be joined here by Mr. Emon Josh. Hopefully, time will permit, and he will be able to join us here as well. Let me ask you quickly, what kind of thing I got on my stuff here? So, no need fine. You don't want to put my need that the people know who I am. You see what the people are doing to us tonight. They don't have our need. Okay. Uh, okay, Mr. Josh is gonna be here a little on. But let me ask you, Jay. Let me ask you, ANC legislature analyst. Let me ask you this. What is in your on your plate here this afternoon as far as Liberian policy and politics and what have you concerned? What are some of the things that you since day that you have learned about Liberia that you want to share with our folks this afternoon?
Okay, as my name, as my coined name by you depicts ANC legislative analyst. Uh, few things very quickly, but among those things, one
Jake,
thing.
can you turn your volume up a little bit?
Let me unmute again. Hello, you getting me?
Yeah, a little bit more. Is it too? Is it the highest part now?
Is it
Oh, you know what? Sorry.
okay?
My okay, go ahead. Go ahead. It's my
Hello.
fault. Yes, yeah. I instead of me turning my volume up, it was down. But go ahead. Go ahead, make your point, my brother.
So, like I said, too many different things happening in our country, and it is quite welcoming that we have the opportunity. But among those things would be that the CPP that have gone through some of the hurdles, with some of our constituent political parties, tomorrow will be cementing a relationship between the Alternative National Congress and that of the Liberty Party at the Liberty Party headquarters on 19th Street. That is one of the things I would like to talk about. Another thing that caught my attention is the underprivileged youth that are believed to have ransacked community dwellers in Dwazon. Dwazon is Rawafi Highway. It is quite disturbing to me. Our lawmaker, when I say our Liberian lawmaker, impressions of Solomon Jaw's statement, and the most recent, which is very important for us, is the allegation leveled by one gentleman on Facebook that he said George Calando was trying to pay him to go pay them to go assassinate President Weah, and he was there calling Ambassador Boakai name. He was there calling former Minister Brennan Samoka name. I think those are things that I want to touch on. And it doesn't sound good as we move towards election. It's a reminder of the ugly past. And, I can't dismiss it, but I can also take it for a grain of salt because this is how characters are maligned and during the heydays. And it is quite tempting for our democracy that we are suffering for so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. On my plate, what I have, and I'm not going to disparage what the young man stated. I'm not there. I don't know the fact, but what I do take out of this is those folks that are named. If they were not intelligent, if they want to cause Marcus, they will cause Marcus. Nobody can stop them. They have no reason whatsoever to assassinate anybody. They know they. I mean, these people are way above assassination stuff. I mean, they would rather engage in discussion, policy discussion, than to assassinate. So I'm not going to even uh, dignify that. However, the security apparatus back home will take on that kinds of conversation if they see it necessary, but they also have to be careful and not rush into judgment and try to because then on the other end might come back and say, okay, we know why, and I don't want to speculate here this afternoon. What I want to look at seriously is this letter written by the suspended Minister of State, Honorable Nathaniel McGee. Letter written to Dr. Weah asking for an investigation. And that's what I'm going to be taking on, and that will be my lead here tonight. Folks, Samson told LeBron Public. All I want to say about that is, and I'll go a little bit deeper into that. My opinion on this here is to say if Honorable McGill want to vindicate himself, writing a letter and asking for an investigation won't do it. Asking the president or ask the American to produce more evidence won't do it. If you want a serious vindication, I believe, my opinion, the minister needs to go and avail himself to the justice ministry. Even if the president does not recommend that, he should now go publicly and stand in front of the justice ministry and call out the justice ministry and the justice minister to say, I demand investigation. If this is what going to do, my character being lying like this, I demand an investigation. What the American people are saying, I'm not guilty. But I want you, the Ministry of Justice, I am here. If you need to arrest me, do so now. But I want these things to be resolved. I think I'm just speculating, but if that's something that the minister would do, perhaps it will be very helpful than to ask the president who every one of us suspect that by suspending these three gentlemen, and I've been saying that he was hoping through the suspension, these three gentlemen who happen to be his friend, that they will come out and resign in the process. They have not done so. So I think for Minister McGill now, and I'll go into that letter later on, to come out now to write the president to say, I want an investigation. That's something he can do that. He has the right to do that. But for me, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. That's my opening. Jonathan, so here. Okay. So the question is, Mr. Judge going to be joining us here very shortly.
Mhm.
Another question that I coined this ANC legislature analyst, not by coincidence. You seriously work uh, in the Liberian legislature building,
Mhm.
and so you know those people well. You know the process well. I might just be saying it to make a laugh, but on a very serious note, that is your serious business. That
Thank
is
you.
your line of work. So you are quite familiar with those people, and you're quite familiar with the rule and law that guide these people on their daily activities. Am I wrong?
Yes.
So the question that I have for you is, McGill and the two other gentlemen, they serve in the executive. And I had my show on here last night about that. They serve in the executive. And these people, they in the legislature where you as a expert, I would say on LPR now, expert, I would say that I would use that word, and not like them, very serious about it. So you now, can you disabuse me on this? As to whether I was wrong to say, besides the president suspending these people, the political leader, the opposition political leader, including Honorable Combs, coming out and making a statement condemning their behavior, which we all do. But then after Combs' statement, instead of going and wrapping it, so to speak, wrapping it around the neck of the legislature, because these legislators are supposed to be, they have an oversight responsibility. And these people work for the government. They serve in the executive, and I think the legislature also have a check. It's supposed to be check and balance with the executive, and therefore they have oversight responsibility on each one of the ministry. And so, if any of these people belonging to any of the administrator or how do you call it,
Agency.
entity, whatever it is, they still have to answer in terms of oversight responsibility. The legislature can't do that. Before these people were employed, they went through the process of confirmation hearing through the legislature by the process of consent and whatever they call it. Okay, that's not mine. But folks, please spare me. But anyhow, so I'm arguing that instead of saying let's fire Mr. President, fire these people, we should say, Mr. President, investigate, number one. But the legislature also have a responsibility in this whole process. Folks, I don't mean to get off the, but did you see how I move my hand like this? I'm acting like Chuck Todd on NBC meet the press this morning. Folks, this is, let me fold my hand. Why am I acting like Chuck Todd? Like I'm going like this and what kind of stuff is that? But anyhow, what do you make of that? What do you make of that? Do you think it's something that I was off base?
No, I don't think that you are really off target with that a section that the because given the structure of our state and how it functions, for the fact that the agents of government, that is from the arm of the executive, be it minister, uh, autonomous agency head, and director general, those who go through confirmation and those who do not just go through confirmation also should be adhering to the responsibilities that the legislature carries. And so, because they are always called to find out why shouldn't you be held in, in contempt for action that seem to be beyond your boundary or unconstitutional or without the act that created you. So now that we have officials of government, including McGill, Samuel Toye, and Bill Twary, who all went through legislative, scrutiny, it is reasonable that one would suggest that the legislature has a responsibility to their action. But very importantly too, like you see, McGill, on a decent government, like you say, McGill availed himself to the
Let
prosecutorial
me
power.
hold you. Let me hold you a little bit. I like the train, the role you're taking, but then you're using the little minute English language that perhaps will get to some of us. What kind of government you say? On what kind of government?
No, I was saying that on this CDC-led government, that what I meant in essence.
Okay.
It is
Because the
through
language that was used, which I don't want to repeat, would sound a little bit condescending, and I don't think we want to go that route. But go ahead, finish your point.
yeah. So I mean, when Maggie, I mean, look, the first thing we should have reached the point. Period. Immediately that information came out, Maggie would have recused himself of his position, not waiting for the president to take an action against him, avail himself to the prosecutorial team for the prosecution of the three of them. And then when he's vindicated, I mean, it set a good stage for the government. But to have compelled the president to take on a decision and rely on what he referred to as evidence not being against him, and, it also put the legislature in a tight position, to be honest, by rule of law. Because the legislature themselves, the information from the treasury had not been disclosed to them. So even if they were to call him, for reason best known, or if they were to declare that we cannot cooperate to work with those officials of government who are going on our scrutiny, the question now would be by people like Maggie who have refused to have recused themselves of the position and turn themselves over to investigation or to prosecutorial arm would be what are the evidence. So it is but what would have been best done by him, he was not to wait for President Weah. He was to immediately, all of them were to immediately resign from their different roles, avail themselves to the prosecutorial team that we are innocent and we are prepared to go through any litigation, at least to save our reputation and the reputation of the government that we support. That would have been the
Yes,
best thing.
yes. I am in line with your thinking. And let me just do this here. Many of you that are listening, perhaps you can go on Front Page Africa and you'll be able to read it. But this is what he wrote to the president. I thought most of the dispute with the so-called language slash evidence from the United States Treasury, his response to that, I thought they were unique. However, I don't think that this is the place to do it. Not on Front Page Africa. We're talking about your reputation that you have built over the years, and we're talking about you as almost the the face of CDC and face of this government. So let me read on. He said, Excellency, please allow me to provide you brief analysis and clarification of some of the allegations that have been that I have been accused of. Bribe business owner receive bribes from potential investor and accept a kickback for steering contracts to company in which he has an interest. That was one of the things they have in a sanction, and this is a response to that. A bribe business owner to what end, he asked, and for what purpose, and in whose interest. One who bribes business owner must have an objective to achieve something in his own interest. But in this case, no interest is defined and no reason is provided. Now, let me deal with that a little bit. I think Mr. Honorable Mangiel, one of the things that was very destructive to whatever counterclaim that he trying to do here was the Monuba Monu tape. Monuba Monu, what he considered to be liquor talk. That was years ago. And now it's coming back to haunt them. Okay. So this is Mangiel response now. He said, what would be my possible to what end? Then he said, receiving bribe from potential investor. What are the names of the investor? You want the people to tell you? That would be leaking their investigative process. Mangiel have to be serious than putting this kind of thing in here. You know, if you're serious, and this is some of the things you're supposed to say. You're almost president of the Republic. Stay in the street and let people say Mangiel going crazy, because this is not a small thing. Whatever little money that he has worked honestly, besides whatever they're accusing him of, there's a potential that this thing can be seized by even the next government. And the fact that he's on tape making a remark, what if I was stealing here, I'm building here anyway? Those kinds of things they're not helpful, and they are not helpful. So the best way you can do it, not writing the president, who is your friend, who could be your lawyer if he was a lawyer. So writing him doesn't do anything. So he went on to say, receiving bribe from a potential investor. What are the names of the investor, and who are the investor? I have not no time. I have at no time ever received bribe from investor. That's not something. Kickback for steering contract. I do not preside over contract negotiation, nor do I sign contract. And so where will the kickback come from? That's the question. Now let's go into those who may have provided wrong information. How does he know people provided the people doing their own investigation? How big is Liberia? Okay, wrong information to the members of the Treasury Department investigators who were seeking to gather accurate and genuine allegation of corruption, abuse, waste, and mismanagement of public funds in the fight against corruption. Unfortunately, provided the wrong and false information. For full disclosure, Mr. President, my own involvement with contract discussion is the current ongoing impasse between an amount AMA, the three companies he needs here that he have interest in. So there are more here. But I just want to little by little.
I follow that.
What do you make of his response to these allegations?
No, it's like, Mangiel has to understand that we are not doing soup versus Tudor politicking on the University of Liberia campus. We have elevated beyond the scope of student politicking that you will just write and then gibberish and think that people will consume it. Mangiel must understand that he's talking to people who are well inclined, far sophisticated than he Mangiel. Without denigrating Mangiel has been one student, according to his record, that repeated courses so long. So he's fortunate to have been in a position of trust, a position of permanence. We cannot take that from him because that's what the law provides. And just to go follow Mangiel, first and only experience prior to getting a Minister of State for Presidential Affairs have been an assistant minister. That in itself tells you the degree of the level of degradation of ineptitude that we are observing in the governance structure of our country. Because your first experience assistant minister, and you should be the chief of office staff connecting the president with different people. But Maga's statement is like saying the child is accused of stealing. To a larger extent, he stole the color, the oil is on his hair, and, you broke the child and he dropped a piece of color, but he asking you, why do you think I will steal color? That's the interest. The question about why the interest. That's how it sounds. People are saying that you are stealing because you want to benefit yourself personally against the larger interest of the people, and you asking them what people can do with money when you steal money. And how to pay a man grave, that's one thing that interested you. And how to go and purchase a piece of area for your girlfriend or your fiancé, and to give a birthday celebration. To the extent to which you are even brave to say, even if I stole, the other people stole, is that some people say that analogic, or some people say you try to speak in context. How do you speak? Is there no example? So what Maggie is playing when he does not understand, like he stated, those people, the United States of America is not in playground that you would think that you can just mesmerize them with words and try to hang it on people who you think that provided information and all those kind of things. You have to understand that those people scientifically test that information if they were to get it for anybody, and they have in-depth analysis about the issues that they are talking about.
What also McGill most likely don't realize is that these people, they're spies. They know everything about everyone on earth, pretty much. If they want, they have so much instrument or so much power, not so much of a destructive power. These people, their investigation to come out, because they have also put in the Department of Treasury, the American Department of Treasury. It's also putting their name on this thing. In the international community are also watching and reading. The international community.
But very importantly, I listened to McGill making an assertion that he does not understand. Who froze his account in Liberia at the different banks in Liberia? UBA Bank, the bank on Crown Hill. That name will come to my mind. It's a Lebanon related bank, and FRB used to be FRB, but now have changed her name. Who froze the account in the most recent time? It was the Financial Intelligence Unit of the Republic of Liberia.
Yes.
Why the Financial Intelligence Unit? Because
he didn't even mention that in this thing that I'm going to be reading. He did not mention the involvement of the financial unit involvement. Yeah. They have already gotten involved. Yeah. McGill thing here is this. He think the stage, the international stage, to be honest with you, I feel bad for him because he has not recognized how serious this thing is. He still believes this is the CDC headquarters that he is talking to a partisan.
No, you got to understand, McGill. You got to let me get 1 minute from you. You have to understand McGill mindset. McGill hails from the NPP background. McGill were some of the young people during the NPP time who saw the maneuvering of child stater where the international community felt otherwise of a child stater. In most instances, when there were allegations by the international community, child stater were playing on the gullibility of the locals. So McGill thing here is that they can keep that saying for the international at the local here and we play games. That is why McGill used people like Representative Marvin Cole of District Number 3 in Bonkante to galvanize people to a house under the pretense that indeed they are about to distribute money on people and take the photo to send to the world that the McGill men are being accused or women that welcomed by bunkies, people of Bonkante. And that again went in chaos because those people who abandoned a tailor shop and went after McGill because they said they were dividing things on them, got annoyed and they started running after those who mobilized them. So McGill has to understand that we're in the 21st century. That time you're talking about there was no internet facility.
Exactly.
So information could not get across. This time it is fast speed that we're dealing with.
Right. And so that exactly is my point with the idea of McGill thinking that he's standing on CDC base and speaking to sedition.
Thank you.
This is more than that.
Yeah.
And the sad thing about it is, I recognize it. I know how serious this thing is, but he doesn't.
Absolutely.
He doesn't. Because if he did, I think he would have been, because this is his reputation at stake. He's recognized all over. Now, if he get out of that position, where's he going to go? He's not going to go to Europe to go work. He's not going to come to the United States to do anything. And he's young. Can you imagine the frustration level that McGill would feel if this thing is not handled properly? Because believe it or not, Dr. Weah will not put his neck on the line for friendship. He can only go so far. He's not going to degrade himself, because these things, it can hurt Dr. Weah if he's not careful either. Because they're not just going to go with the Liberian presidency. They might even go all the way back to his soccer days and even affect some of his glorious days by coming back and trying to attack some of the winning that he has done. So this is much more bigger than the McGill, but he's not taking it as such.
Yeah, I mean,
you would think no. Well, first thing, Jay. First thing I thought perhaps McGill would have done was to avail himself to the American embassy. Say, thank you for bringing this up. I'm innocent. How can I clear my name? And perhaps they might suggest to him, come to the United States and face the music. Here in the United States, if he comes here, don't go to jail, that's fine. But he's going to have a lawyer. And then everything else there is not about Liberia anymore, because once he gets here, he's also putting the State Department, the Treasury Department on trial as well.
No,
but if he sits there and try to manipulate the system using Front Page Africa is a new organ. They will carry whatever news is. In fact, they love it when they say, man, by door, the Front Page Africa will be there. So let me read on, Jay. Let me read on. It's a very interesting writing, but McGill have know that this is not your Liberia of yesterday. He wrote something, Front Page Africa in Montreal, and I'm reading it here in Sacramento. So these people have already taken this and make it in, because if he comes over here and try to challenge the system, this writing will be used against him as well. So if he had a good lawyer, one of the things that if he had a good lawyer and pass it by the lawyer, they probably would have told him, don't send this thing out. Don't send it out, because a good lawyer would take whatever McGill has written and turn it around, because there's some language here that McGill uses, and I'm not even a lawyer, and I can hold those kind of things around you.
Probably a lawyer.
Yeah. So he said another charge that they have on you: manipulate a public procurement process in order to award multi-million-dollar contract to a company in which he has ownership, including by abusing emergency procurement process to rake the contract bid. Now, these people, the Treasury Department, those who wrote this language, they themselves are lawyers, because they know that there's a possibility that McGill might come here, risk everything else, come here and challenge these people, and they will have to go to court. And then when they go to court, they're going to have to prove all of these things that is written here. They're not going to say based on Liberia. They will show evidence. Okay, so let's see what McGill say about that. Respond. On this count, why I have not seen any evidence today, the multi-million-dollar contract that I am aware of, since the ascendance of this government in the U.S. 11. Okay, this is another thing that there's something wrong with it. Since the ascendance of this government is the U.S. $160 million RIA. Listen to this. This is very crucial. This is very crucial. He's now McGill now going to take from his usual CDC playbook and bring in Ellie into this conversation now. Watch this. Okay. is the $160 million IRA road contract to East International. The same East International that I've been accusing McGill of being involved with. As you are aware, Mr. President, this matter was presented to the cabinet in 2019 by the public work minister, by the then public work minister Mabutu Nyampa, that the IRA road project will cost US $116 million, and that the cabinet should approve the borrowing of said amount. It was then the decision of the cabinet that due to Liberia's huge debt burden, said amount was too huge for the government to borrow at the time. Therefore, the cabinet decision was that since Madam Ellen Sirleaf Johnson government had granted East International a concession of US 56,432,000 agreement ratified by the legislature for the construction of feeder roads in Liberia before Your Excellency, said agreement should be presented to the legislature for amendment so that instead of borrowing the $160 million, the government will only borrow $56,432,000 for IRA road project. Now here it comes, folks. My ownership in East International, as alleged, is false and misleading because East International, okay, is alleged and misleading. Now listen to his reasoning now. This is the reasoning that McGill expects us now to use as a defend and accept, okay? Because East International was in existing. So that means if East International is in existing, when it comes to power, he can't take ownership. Listen to the kind of reason. And you know, when you do these kinds of stuff, then you're not serious. You're not serious. You want to tell me because the company is already in existing, you can't be owner of that, especially we're talking Liberia. Now listen to this, okay? Because East International was in existing around 2011 and granted road contract on the Unity Party government, one of which was the $59,567,000 contract. I do not see how the Unity Party government would have granted a $57 million contract to a company with an ownership of a sitting chairman of CDC. They didn't say that he owns the company since that time. That was not the allegation that he owned East International. Okay. So also the United Party government granted the following contract to East International prior to a Senate of CDC led government, led administration. Also in January 2017, United Party you want also in January 2017, the United Party government awarded East International was $19 million on the signature of Judy Moore, the total contract granted. Okay, so he's saying here, how can I manipulate the contracting system? How can I own interest? For example, he said, before we came to power, East International was already in existence, which has already been awarded contract. What makes you think that because they're in existing, you can't own part of that company?
Look,
you know what I'm saying? So from what I just read here, what do you make of that? What do you make of that?
The first thing, it is not to the president that McGill should be making his evidence known. Absolutely not to the president of the Republic of Liberia, who has discharged McGill of his function because of the allegation level against him. So I don't understand how even reading all those writing of McGill going to even serve the real purpose for which his justifications are. The president, I believe you, the best people to explain all of your transaction tools should be the Treasury Department, the Treasury, and those who sanction you, as well as the legal proceeding of the Republic of Liberia. If Magay had written a very two-paragraph communication to the U.S. Embassy stating that based on the allegation level against me, I hereby, disclose myself and prepared to go through all of the litigation process that I'll be furnished with those pieces of evidence that will suggest being guilty of the crime that you have spelled out, and that the you can that the U.S. Embassy, through the U.S. Embassy from the Treasury Department, can furnish the legal prosecutorial arm of the Republic of Liberia with the facts so that they can have an expeditious legal process that will serve him, or that will render him free, or that will render him guilty based on the facts and pieces of evidence being provided in a courtroom. I think just those simple statements will tell you, the American people, that McGill is serious-minded. He's a man of character. He wants to defend his character. But the reason why McGill will not take that step, McGill will go through the political route to buy sentiments from the locals and position himself as someone people are trying to lie on, is because McGill is guilty. If I had been the person that you accuse me as I'm sitting here, and you accuse me that I did X, Y, and Z at the national legislature, and whether being a Senate legislative research analyst or being a House of Representatives 2010 to 2011, all I would do for you is that I read you a beautiful communication that you expedite the process of my legal in the process so that I can stand before my accuser and be able to vindicate myself. Simple. We are not debating anything. I don't have obligation to justify anything to you. You go to the court, and then I'll be able to set the record straight.
I do agree with you. I think these are some of the steps. Instead of writing the president through the press and hoping to have the Liberian people to sympathize with your position, I think it's not the way to go. And this is what I said from the beginning. I believe Honorable McGill most likely does not have a clear understanding of this sanction and what it's capable of doing to him, his life, and the life of his relatives. He probably doesn't understand that. He probably doesn't understand. He felt, well, look at Prince Johnson. He's the sanction is on him, and look how he's moving. Nothing can happen to me. Look at what's his name? Vanny Sherman. But the issue here is, whenever these people get some serious sickness, the process they're going to go through just to seek medical attention outside of Liberia is huge.
That's not what it is.
If you're not careful, you might die before you even get a chance.
That's not only it. There's a reason why some of the actors want to be elected always as legislators, unlike he that was appointed at the whims and caprices of the president of the Republic of Liberia, McGill. Since Vanny Sherman got the Treasury sanction, most of the lawyers took that bag and walked to the next nearby law firm. Vanny Sherman used to be representing the U.S. Embassy. He cannot. Vanny Sherman used to be representing what's the name? The Fire Soon. Vanny Sherman is not. There is no reputable institution that will go under Vanny Sherman law firm. So he will not be able to pay those astute lawyers, and those astute lawyers themselves will not want to risk the repetition of their career being under someone who have been sanctioned. So, and then coupled up with the issue of medical challenge, the issue of navigating yourself as a representative, representing the interests of a particular county to lobby here and there out of the country, your health, all those kind of things there, you don't want to get yourself, kind of predicament. So he had not understood the gravity, the weight placed on this sanction issue. He's taking it so lightly, and that is why he's coming up, seeking people of men of God. I mean, I don't know which kind of men of God.
I saw something on Facebook where minister then laying their hand on this one here,
but it says something. It says something about the government.
Yes,
it says something that not been said.
Yes,
it tells you those are the individuals who have taken lightly some of the cry of the Liberian people and continue to tell George President Weah it doesn't matter.
Yes. Well, but with us Liberian, we're sycophant. There's no. I mean, that's how we've been from day one. From Tubman Day, when Tubman come to the area, even up in the country, everybody from any government, Toba, Dole, when they as soon as they give and this is an example here of yesterday. I think yesterday or day before yesterday, when Dr. Weah had an audience with the representative from West Point, and
District
he
14.
was so I don't know what exactly. Yeah, Solomon George moved to the point to make these kinds of statements, reckless statements, and then he tried to backtrack, but instead of backtracking with sincerity, he wants to do it with anger, insult, and I know very well. I don't believe that Solomon George want people to disappear in Liberia, opposition to disappear. I know he doesn't mean that, but those are the kinds of things that you do when you don't have much to offer in terms of conversation. If you don't have anything to say, don't say anything. Even if they call you, Mr. President, welcome. This is your home. We welcome you. And please, whatever you can do for our people, let's do it. There's no reason for you to go somewhere else when there's not evident that you, as Solomon George, have gotten anybody disappear in this country before. For you now to come out and make the kinds of statement, you have now opened yourself up to ridicule and serious implication that you are a violent person.
There's an intellectual reasoning to Solomon George section, and I believe I'll be honest with you. I, Jonathan Dolake, who have known Solomon George for being a room guy, playing basketball, and being a basketball coach, I can never ever believe that Solomon George can do such a thing. But no, that's an intellectual reasoning. The intellectual reasoning is that, like you say, you pointed out right, when you're not prepared, you are not schooled to what you need to say. I mean, what can attract the president's attention to helping the executive to move development in your community, and you are just a sporadic person. Whenever you are called to make comments, you make reckless comments, and you don't have control. So that's the kind of scenario with Solomon George. And similar thing happened with the vice jury of the president in Maryland County 2020. When the superintendent was called, assistant superintendent, but he occupied one of those roles. And the guy said that he stood up on the podium, nothing to say. I mean, for heaven's sake, you coming to launch your campaign. You don't have any messaging for your people. And say, what other government have done in the past? We have the police on our side. We have the military on our side. We got the national security on our side. What other government have done before, it is in our rank that we can use the same thing and do the same thing to win election.
Yeah, so, because they got nothing. They got nothing to offer. And what was amazing with Solomon George's comment, you would think that the president will not necessarily rebuff or rebuke Mr. George publicly like that. But I think after Mr. Solomon George's statement, I think the president had the responsibility to distance himself intellectually by coming on stage to say, I know this man. I know who he is. We play ball together. We grew up together. He's not a violent person. So please, whatever statement that is made here, it was not intended as such, and you move on. But when you were making that statement, the president knew very well Solomon George is not a violent person, but the president decided to laugh it out. Whereas people, this is the same mistake they continue to make. Because people, other international community, they know Liberia is all ranking right now. And you expect investor to come in. Okay? You expect investor to come in. But man, who invites you on my show? What? You see the trouble in here? Welcome, Mr. So. Welcome. Thank you.
I have to come because the liberal doctrine, you try to pack just how your man Boyka is being packed. You try to pack Mr. You try to pack my brother here, and you want to do it a liberal way to just have a slight riot thinking that he's not here. I'm forced to come to rescue him.
Thank you for joining us. And I told the audience that you were doing some serious on a serious assignment. Hopefully, you will bring that up later on.
I fool you. I told you I was doing an assignment because I knew you were going to drive your liberal agenda here this afternoon, and that's how I forced to jump in here.
Okay. All right.
You're welcome.
All right. You want to go ahead and take it over? Please do so.
No, I'm not going to take it over. This court, you're gonna hang yourself here this evening. We're all going to stick here, and I'm going to be here to, like you said, to counter with you as well, because it looked like you brought in the liberal doctrine from Total, and you want to. In fact, Jonathan, the last time around, what was his position on this whole thing? Why is he flipping right now? I don't get it.
Mr. So, the idea of Jay, go ahead, answer him.
So no, you. I think let Jonathan go ahead, because he's just been driving this thing his own way here. Come on,
yeah, I think reality is a stubborn nature that compels every situation. I mean, Mr. To agree with us, the section that have been made by Solomon George. I mean, what's his name? McGill justification. I mean, it doesn't make sense. And so if I embarrass someone who try to maneuver and try to prop you up, and that's the embarrassing thing about the entire CDC-led government attitude. I mean, like taking money to lobby with people in Washington, but it's not creating more upheaval for the lobby. It doesn't.
Yes. And one of the things that I suspect, and I've always said that here publicly, is that CDC-led government, the people of CDC, they cannot stand to be praised. They cannot stand for people to say, "Oh, look at the good thing CDC is doing." They just can't stand it. If it happens today and you see them doing something good today, tomorrow they're going to put their foot in their own mouth again. Now, we have this sanction issue that's happening. Dr. Weir is under tremendous pressure from the American, from the Liberian diaspora to fire the three people. And he also trying to maneuver his way where he will be able to center himself as somebody who is a peacemaker. And then on top of that, he was in his audience. And you have Solomon George coming out. I know Solomon George is not a violent person. But that does not mean the international community know who he is. They know Liberian history. For you to come out and make that statement publicly, why the president of the republic is sitting there to say people need to disappear. And now he's saying what he meant was that people need to disappear because they will go to jail.
Okay, so let me come in here. I failed to mention I am not coming in his defense because I tried to reach out and I'm waiting to get that confirmation to also have a conversation. That's the behavior, that's the traditions of our Liberian politicians. And Jonathan put it into context. Nathaniel McGee is a trained NPFL guy. These guys know how to play to the rhythm of the game. I can for sure tell you President Weir is not equipped to that level when it comes to playing that game. And that's exactly the playbook Nathaniel McGee has adopted, having transferred that to Melvin Cole. Melvin Cole said, yes, we welcome the sanction. It is a good thing for America. But yet and still, you will be friendly with this guy. Okay, you're not a thief. Why should you be hanging out with somebody who is allegedly, or they say you're not a drug guy, but all your friends, people that you interact with, they're doing drugs. How will society perceive you to be? How will the community judge you to be? Even if you are not in that tent. And they went and organized that sort of fabulous arrangement. The guy claimed to be on a suspension, but he still enjoys a heavy convoy carried by police, escort. Wait, give me a break. They are taking this for a joke. And I don't understand. Solomon George, he tries to provide explanations today. Oh, they didn't ask him what he was saying. You were going to put the people into jail. Well, this is why nobody is a mind reader. And this is why when you're speaking in public, you have to be concise and precise with what you're putting out. Because what you put out, if If it's not conclusive, people are going to conclude that and judge you from that perspective. So it's a little bit late. And I think the president should have acted. But exactly what Jonathan said, Maggie is playing playing in a sort of NPFL narrative that we used to see before. Till ago, he went to a conference and he came back. He said, "Well, my word is not a Bible," and they pivot 360 degree. He's doing the letter now. I mean, so this is what I have problem with you, liberal, because the decision taken by the government itself to calling for his suspension, it simply validates what the Americans are saying. It means they are also there. But you fail to also acknowledge that, and you're flip-flopping on this here, and you're still calling for a system. So I don't know which system, where you really belong in this whole thing here.
Apparently, Mr. So, you quite yet to understand the liberal value and the liberal mindset. I am a liberal. I'd evolve, number one. I also know very well, I know that Liberia is not a banana republic. The fact that the great United States have suggested or bring up argument or accuse or whatever it is that they put forward, for them, it's a closed case. It's a closed case as far as they're concerned. However, the three individuals involved in the sanction process, they are Liberians. They are both of them, all three of them are Liberians. Mm-hmm. And they fall under the rule and law of the Republic of Liberia.
Correct.
The United States government and the United States law does not and will not dictate the prosecutorial process of Liberian law. Mm-hmm. Now, if the United States come out and say this is the situation, these people are on sanction, and as Mr. Anthony Gay explained yesterday, sanction for him is a punishment. I agree, but not if it's applied to area where these people are on an obligation. Liberia government is on an obligation to have these people brought to book through the Liberian judiciary system. You cannot take the American law and try to apply it in Liberia and say, therefore, that is my argument.
No. Yeah.
I'm saying to you, Mr. Soul, that the American Treasury Department are giving us evidence that can be used in the court of law in Liberia.
Jonathan.
Yeah.
Does not allow this liberal to bring his doctrine on this network here. This is not a liberal network here that you think you're going to bring your doctrine here for everybody to be initiated. First of all, then you really get it wrong. From what is happening right now, if you want to be strictly to the point, then it means to me, and I could be wrong, but I'm not wrong, that the American law now has overshadowed our law. On ground.
Mr. Soul, how can you sell your birthright? How can you sell your birthright to that of the United States?
Is that selling birthright?
I'm not selling. You're not listening because you are so occupied with the liberal idea. I am saying the decision taken by GOL, the government of Liberia, now simply suggests to me that the American law more or less supersedes our own law, which in itself, it should not be that way. Because if it was so, if the Liberian laws were still firm, if I were the president or advising the president, and I know that we have a law, we have a constitution that I know once is guilty until they appear before the court of competent jurisdiction, those people who are being placed on administrative leave, pending investigation, and then the president can take a decision as to whether they can be suspended, they can be dismissed. That did not happen. Upon hearing that news, Jonathan, let's get to the point here. This liberal, we need to be sensitive in here. The president took a decision saying these people are being suspended. So it means your law is already being compromised. I know it's coming from Uncle Sam, and I do know as well the pressure mounted on the government, the EU, different partners, they were all involved because of the grave of this whole thing here. So it pushes the president, and that's about it. Other than that, the law, they will say, okay, well, we hear this, we're going to have them, we'll place them administratively. Administratively is to allow the process to play out. The process is not playing out. Maggie is coming now to write a letter. Where is he seeking the justice from? It was in the Liberian government that accusing his suspension did not come from the government of Liberia of alleged corruption and all of these crimes that have been levied against him. It came from the Americans. So where is he going to seek this justice? Is he going to go before the court of American court system, or is he going to appear before? So I'm confused. He needs to tell us exactly what he wants to. It was not the act of the Minister of Justice that led him, or the government that led him to be suspended. Do you see what I'm coming from? And the liberal don't understand that.
And I get a point. I get a point, because if you look at, and that's why the first time I appeared on the show and we were discussing about the sanction, I ran strictly to the Financial Intelligence Unit. Look, some of what we are discussing, if you check it thoroughly, the Financial Intelligence Unit have been earlier tipped by the very Treasury. The reason why the Financial Intelligence Unit is important, because the amount in question that they're talking about is hundreds of million United States dollars. It is in United States dollar. So the Treasury themselves, they are concerned about the flow of US dollar in an illegal fashion.
Exactly.
That's one aspect. The second aspect is that the act that created the Financial Intelligence Unit has something we call the legal framework. Under the legal framework, you got related institution. One, you got UN resolution against terrorism. It's related to Financial Intelligence Unit. Two, you have UN resolution on asset freeze without delay. That relates to corruption. Three, you have UN Convention Against Corruption. This is why McGill falls honor. So when the US government spoke, George, the president, we are still delaying, stating as whether he would dismiss a friend or not dismiss his friend. He suspended his friend. They didn't tell us to what extent. The Financial Intelligence Unit in the same government, they didn't wait for George Weah as to whether he dismissed or not dismissing. They put block on McGill accounts and accounts of those who have been accused. So that means the law of the United States of America and the Liberia law, they are working very cohesively. And in my mind, I would have thought if McGill, a very smart person, and if you are really innocent, because only innocent people can take such a decision, was to first, recuse himself of the position. As the president, I want to go, to go through the hearing process of my case, and I'm leaving. Let it be on the president's shoulder to take the action as well to dismiss him. Two, was to write a very short communication to the Treasury Department through the U.S. Embassy, availing himself for prosecution, and that they should provide the facts that will expedite his case so that he can vindicate himself. That is simple. But again, as an MPP boy, he thought that una case FM we had, because during the charge letter, una case FM was immoral. Before you go to Loguatu and go to Bazon, that here they say people will get it. So we'll get information internationally, and we'll just play on the credibility of our people locally, and we'll win the admiration of our people, and our people will be against the international people, and the two will be hated in between them. That is not the era of the 21st century internet.
Exactly. Additionally, we said this before, but the liberal would just be a liberal. I don't care anywhere you transition there. This whole thing, the government GOL was elected 1 week prior to this. The first call was placed to the council of the president, because it's a high profile, and telling the president, hey, this is what coming. People try to play it down. Archie Bernard was the first person to receive this call, and additionally, they told the president, this is what coming. And they have no other choice, because the pressure was mounting from the. That's how Uncle Sam type things are great. When they rather do it, they do it directly, indirectly with sources and other people that they support. And besides that, they never know, you and I know, anything that involve the US dollar, Fed does not take it lightly. They know exactly how many dollars, even to the least one, the $1 bill, they know exactly where it can be found, where it's located. If there's any sort of impropriety or illegal trading, Fair will go after that. That's the whole concern of Uncle Sam where it comes to this whole US dollar. So they know exactly what they are doing. It was elected, there was no action taken. They're like, okay, you know what? This thing here, deaf ear has been paying, nobody is paying attention to it. Boom, it came. Then you say you suspended, man. Come on, give me a break. Suspended, man.
I
And
think
you see the presidential, you see a convoy arranged by Melvin Cole. I mean, they are joking, they're taking it lightly. And they say it's targeted. It's not targeted. It's targeted in a sense, but it's on a big scale, and that's what we need to realize. This guy is the number one man who opens the corridor, the door of the president for any foreign guest to go in.
One of the interesting things that is happening here, Mr. So and the ANC legislature analysts, I do agree with you guys on many things here tonight. My only objection is that Liberia is not a banana republic. And the Liberian, if Mr. McGill, if Honorable McGill want to seek, because he was suspended pending an investigation. Now, the president, having had that kinds of information, took it gravely. And the president, many of these people, a lot of them, they work at the will and pleasure of the president. The president can suspend you, fire you anytime. So the president decided to suspend them pending an investigation. The president hopefully is saying, well, thank you, United States, for providing these kinds of information. Now our law will take its course. If that's the route the president want to take. I think before Mr. So the liberal is on the floor, and I'm in control here tonight. And then you know me very well. I'm not here to please you. I can kick you out right now if I wanted to. Except I'm not going to do it because I'm the board chair. But the real board chair is watching, and I want to be careful here how I do things here tonight. Okay. So Mr. So look. If Mr. Before you came in, Jonathan and I were just discussing that. McGill, if he's not taking the thing serious, he's gonna hurt himself and hurt a whole lot of people around him.
Why are you worried about McGill? I am worried
because
about
he's a Liberian citizen.
No. So what?
What do you mean, so what? He's a Liberian citizen.
Okay, let me just tell you right
we
now.
All should be concerned. We should be concerned with each other about each other's safety and about each other's welfare.
But your soundbite at this time seems to supersede the interests of the people of Liberia.
Mr. So,
I am worried about the conservative idea, the government,
and they're not going to hold on their show tonight. Your conservative idea, they're not going to hold on their show tonight. You can't wrap the entire Liberian people. They were hungry like nothing. Then you want to put it all over on my head. I don't want to make them hungry. I'm gonna bring. I mean, they wouldn't want people to eat. I beg you, Mr. So, you can't bring that kind of thing here. The point here is this: McGill is a citizen. Is a citizen of the Republic of Liberia, and his welfare, his well-being, it's all on all of us. And if we see something that is not in the interest of a Liberian citizen, we must speak out. There are those who are continue to fool Minister McGill, believing that this thing is not big enough. And I'm trying to say, if you will just let me finish my point.
He's not even minister. He's suspended. He's not minister.
Oh, whatever.
He's suspended. Is an adult. He's an adult. He needs to make informed
suspended, but he still have the
so his suspension is on you.
You see, you now call yourself up.
My thing is that
you know, call yourself again. I didn't have to do anything. You see, Mr. So you call yourself. I don't have to say. You back.
My thing is that the quantum of who feels the brink of McGill's and those who have been alleged or accused by the Treasury of massive corruption and human rights violation, who feels the brink of their action and inaction. There we can delineate who to feel sorry for, who to stay on their side. If the three individuals, say for example, discussing McGill for now, if McGill action and inaction had created a condition that the CDC-led government cannot boast of a single most foreign direct investment as a result of receiving kickbacks, to the extent to which Madam Makinan El Keita was removed in the office of the president to implement projects because of the same corrupt attitude of receiving kickback, then I think it hides the larger population who Mr. Cummings described as unemployable and unemployed. Because those are the university students that are graduating cannot find job because of no direct investment. So we should feel more for the Liberian people than my girl who was staying arrogantly there and say that he had done no wrong.
Who still enjoyed a police convoy. And the liberal here is telling us here, I should feel sorry. You should feel sorry for him, and we will also put you in that basket of because his action has inflicted pains on our country.
My position here tonight is, as long as you're Liberian and so you, from my perspective, and you're in trouble, I should feel for you. I'm not here. Listen to me. My ain't failing you, ma. You ain't failing my ma. And nothing you can do to me. I'm blocked.
Those are words you always use when you are out of work.
Why are you here tonight to pick a fight with a liberal? Usually you're not this aggressive on the liberal. Why are you being so aggressive tonight?
Guess what? Because you were driving this train failing to realize that there's a red light, there's a crossing wall for pedestrian, and you are having complete disregard for the pedestrian. So I was forced to abandon what I'm doing and ask my boss, well, you know what? I need to jump in there because something is not right taking place. And I'm not going to allow this sort of liberal doctrine now to come initiate other Liberians who able to serve. So I'm forced to come in here.
Okay. Thank you for joining. But here is what we're doing here tonight. Until you came in, Jonathan and I, we were on a fruitful discussion where our audience were truly enjoying until you came in with your conservative ideas. But I can deal with you. You know that. The point that I'm making here is this. The idea of sanction did not derive from Liberia. It came from a foreign country against our citizen. Forget about his position. Forget about whatever it is that he's been accused of. But it was a sanction that placed on our citizen. So first of all, even if we agree that the sanctions are right and they are in place, but we must also sympathize with his position, number one. And second, we should all be able to guide him to seek the relevant procedures that will somehow guide him, make sure that he's vindicated, if so be. And the way to vindicate yourself, according to me, from my perspective, it's not by writing letter through Front Page Africa. It's not by writing the president of the Republic of Liberia. It's by either you go to the American embassy and ask, what are the procedures that I can use for my need to be clear? Hold on, Mr. Soul. Hold on. You might not agree with me. That's okay. For my need to be clear. If the Americans said, no, the case is closed, we have nothing else to talk to you about. Challenge you, come to the United States. If they will give you visa, first of all, they will deny you visa. And you can use that process of their denying you visa to show to the international community, I'm trying my best to clear my name. They refuse to give me visa, number one. And then you go to the Liberian, now you're in the realm of the Liberian law, and you avail yourself to the Liberian judiciary system by using the denial of visa as some of the evidence that you can produce. And then let the Liberian judiciary system, let them come out to say, we're doing our investigation, and they will establish that they're doing an investigation. This thing should not be put down and not taken lightly. They shouldn't. That is my point, that I agree with you. This is my
I am appalled, absurd of this sort of analysis that you are. Do you think we're in town that, you got to go run to the town chief or primary chief, you say, I take chicken, and so you have me here, and where the chicken body? It is ridiculous. Well, let me ask you this. The liberal, is it your first time or this year? Is it a surprise? Have you not heard all of these alleged allegations, numerous ones with Nathaniel McGee? This one came as a what? As a drop overnight? Let me ask you this question.
Mr. So, I will use myself as an example here. And I think I had explained this story here long before. back in the 80s when I first got here.
Oh God.
Yes, I will use that opportunity tonight. When I first got here, I was arrested by immigration for immigration fraud, they said. But the first thing they told me, Mr. So, let me finish. It's very important. The very first thing they told me, Mr. To, I said, yes, you're under arrest. And they read the charges they have on me. At the very end, you have the right to be represented by the legal practitioner of your choosing. I could have gone to court if I wanted to.
Why?
But I decided, no, I want to go to Liberia. I don't get time for y'all.
Because you don't have a case. You go
no,
there,
Mr. So, it's not like that. No, don't say that. Don't say that. Now you're trying to bring these things that are not quite correct. Every time anybody is arrested, you have a case. Right. You can make your case. You can make your case. Now, the same thing here. The minister is being accused and being sanctioned. They accuse him and then they punish him at the same time. That means
who punishing?
The United States government by putting sanction on him. That's a form of punishment.
Okay.
Now, if you do that, why? Because they say he did X, Y, and Z.
So let me ask you, did the government agree with the United States action?
Well, the government, not necessarily, but the government take that information gravely, the president said. And because of that, they are on suspension. They are on a suspension pending an investigation.
So what is your argument in this thing?
My
argument is that we should pity all Liberian citizens who have been accused or we should sympathize with him. And I think the sympathy worthy of Mr. Tu. Because the last time he said Mr. Cummings should sympathize with Liberians, and then he said we should sympathize with Nathaniel McGee. Look, I was just reading $14 million rent subsidy that involves McGill again. It is the Ministry of State, the Ministry of Finance, and the Ministry of Commerce. You remember during the COVID time, due to the movement of ships along the coastal line, government had to increase the freight on ship movement, and so it was hurting the business climate. Few institutions that were importing rice in Liberia, and so they requested subsidy. The subsidy was around the neighborhood of 40 million. As it is right now, the quantity of rice in the free port by importers is far less than the consumption level of Liberians. The 40 million is believed that it had not been delivered to the importers, so Liberia will soon go out of rice. When you have such a mere arithmetic, say for example, bring petroleum into the country, when it will finish the day, when you procure new one, who are the importers, how to encourage them so that you have the economy flowing. When you have people behaving in a negligible way, not just being negligible to not know, but knowing and affecting the life of the people because of kickbacks and what they want to get, it is embarrassing the general welfare of the people. In that instant, you don't feel sorry for those who are acting in that manner. You feel
no. There's two. Mr. ANC, legislative analyst. There are two types of sympathies here. You're trying to combine into one and wrap it around me, which I'm going to reject. Mr. So, why are you off? Why are you off? Why are you off? Okay. So the point here, okay, Mr. So is back. Mr. So is back. Okay. The point here is this. I'm not saying that we should sympathize with people who would behave. Their behavior, criminal behavior is affecting our people livelihood. That's not the point. It's not the kinds of sympathy that I'm talking about. Here is the sympathy that I'm talking about. The three Liberians who happen to be member of the executive were accused and punished by a foreign country. Agree so far? Agree? Yes. You cannot do this to me. This is what you do. This is what you do. When the LPR is on the floor,
you. You asked me whether I agree.
No. Okay, forget my question. Forget my question. Because I know
we are
you will not
we are
obey
not
the
in code.
rule.
I'm coming.
Mr.
We are not
So.
in code. I know I'm coming. You're gonna make a point. We are not in code here or in classroom. So is 1 + 1 = 2. Who agree?
Mr.
No, that's not what we agree with.
Okay, thank you
You're
for
not even talking
reminding me.
about Wakuba Dion. You're not talking about Serena Seafor. Why McGill alone?
No, I said all three. I said all three, Mr. So. I don't have to be specific. All three. Now, the point that I'm making here is this. These three people, they are a Liberian citizen. They are part of us. So if anything that is coming, whether we disagree with them, whether we know they're guilty or what have you, they were accused by a foreign country. Let's accept that. Whether it's Uncle Sam that we love and that help us all, that we stay here and work, they give us the permission to work and make money and support our brothers and sisters, Michael, that's besides the point. Uncle Sam have accused our citizens. One. The second thing is, these people, they're working in Liberia. I'm not disputing whatever Uncle Sam accusing them of. But the fact that they are Liberians, our interest and our loyalty should, first of all, as Liberian, not as the corrupt individual, but as Liberian, our loyalty should be with them at first. Now, the interesting thing here is this.
Wow.
And you two missing this point big time. I'm happy that none of you are lawyers to represent me in any court, because I would have been fried. I would have been fried because you got no clue on the law.
You will be in maximum prison.
Exactly. And that's why you're not my lawyer. So the point here is, Liberia, United States, a foreign country, accused Liberians of certain things. Not only accused, they also made a judgment and punished them. And in this country,
in violation.
So hold on.
You're not concluding. You're confusing our listener here.
You see, this is how you want. Go ahead, make a point.
Okay, yeah. The point here is try to be precise, clear to your listeners, and we are on an obligation to do that. We are not here. We're not bad muffin anybody. We have to speak the truth. They were sanctioned because they violated. It's not Liberian laws that they violated for which they were sanctioned.
I agree.
So
I agree. They violate, but here in this country, if you violate the law of this country, you go to court. And the company jurisdiction, Mr. So, please, I'm not your lawyer, but I'm trying to be factual. The company jurisdiction in this country determine your punishment. So the Treasury Department, the fact that these people are not citizens of the United States, there's a law within the Treasury Department. How do you deal with those people besides going to court? You go through the process. The lawyers of the Treasury Department come out and determine the punishment. My point that I'm making, now that I've said all of that, let me come to agreement with you guys. Miguel and these two other gentlemen, they have their own obligation. They must do all they can to vindicate themselves. And I'm suggesting to them, one of the ways they can do that, I'm not a lawyer, and they can seek a legal advice from competent lawyers.
Be their lawyer.
One of the ways, in my own judgment, and I could be wrong, is to go to the American embassy, because the sanction was read by the American ambassador publicly. Go to the American embassy. When those three gentlemen, they start walking up Mama Point, the amount of press that will follow them will be too much. They might not be allowed to enter, but they can present their statement, their position statement, to say we're seeking vindication. We want to travel to your country to face the law. And most likely they will say, we're not going to get your visa, because as part of the sanction, they are not allowed to issue visa. Now, when that happens, my argument, once that happens, they can take that rejection and come back to Liberia and the law of Liberia as part of evidence to present. Let's take it away.
Let me tell you now. That your theory, that your talking point is dangerous for our country. And it will be categorically rejected. A good you says, oh, when they go there, they will reject them. So why? You know very well that they will be rejected. Why are you telling them that? Let me just tell you the pain that I feel for my country. And you are not feeling that pain. You're talking about sympathy, empathy, and all of that. Look, the interest of the country comes first than any other person. If the president of the Republic of Liberia compromises the interest of the country, I also go ahead. I am convinced, considering what is happening now, Nathaniel McGee is the one that dragged the president into all of this mess that we are in. I strongly also feel Nathaniel McGee has led the president. He did not do a job for which he was hired to do. He deceived the president. And let me just tell you this, because I was on the phone today with some high-profile people, seditions. The real seditions are happy with this. In fact, I was told by a close confidant that the first lady, in fact, brought out this whole Nathaniel McGee behavior.
Are you with us, Mr. So? Or the liberal cartel has taken its first victim this afternoon?
We will come
Mr.
back.
So,
Okay,
are you with us, or my cartel has taken the first victim?
Well, that one, my cartel can't do anything. I was just saying something.
Folks, we're waiting for him. The cartel has done his job, and Mr. So is no longer able to speak because the cartel is taking control.
That cartel from Walmart. It's not from Grand Gita.
Okay, make a point. Make a point.
Yeah. So what I was saying, look, he did not serve us right. He did not do the president just. He betrayed the president on so many fronts, and that's why led to this. Not a single thing, everything. The chief of staff, the presidential affairs minister, drives the agenda of the president. And for such a man to be accused, to be involved, seeing do you think it's an overnight decision by Uncle Sam? This has been a long time battle. Consultation, conversation. No, you don't agree. Okay. If you agree, you won't tell us that. Okay. It is hurtful to me because it is a disgrace. I'm not even looking at him as a human being. I'm not looking at him as an individual, because everything that he did it on purpose. They took advantage of the president kindness. You always say the president can, and I want to believe he's a peaceful person. So they took that as a right. They think they are the one that make him to be who he is. So everybody thinks that they can do anything they can do. They was not advising him, and he also leaned on them because they seem to be the guy who gets him to be where he are. And see where we find ourselves today as a country. And you telling me I should be when he literally took my president in a grave? Yeah, you think it's a good thing? It's a disgrace to the country to see the man, the principal deputy to the president, who drives when there's a foreign diplomat to enter the executive marshal of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the person that opens the door or paid to usher in those guests is the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, to get involved in such a thing and to be sanctioned. And you coming out here, we want to be sympathetic. Please, it is only in total. Nobody going. They're not going to march, because when he gets on the street to go march to that embassy, he will be charged. You know that. Here there are two things. When you any wrong, the federal will either come to you or they tell you report in 72 hours. If you don't report when they come for you, you will know. So they're not going to go there to go march. You know that when they go there, they're not even going to get a visa. So why are you telling them? Go Liberia and go be a defense counsel or legal advisor to Nathaniel McGee.
What say you, Chief, ANC legislature analyst? What say you?
I really don't want to belabor McGill and Serena Cephas and that of Bill Tuawid, notorious corruption that have hampered the chances of our young people, our old folks, our single mothers, our marketeers, our investment climate, and even the repetition of each of us And, an ordinary citizen. I don't want to belabor it. I think what McGill and the rest of the guys are taking for a joke, gonna go after not only them as individual if the president and the institution responsible don't take the appropriate action, but gonna go after the entire nation, you know, and it would not be good for our economy.
Is that my girl calling you, Samson Tall?
Yeah, it would not be good for our economy. But like I was saying today, because I'm trying to connect the dots with some of the happenings. Today I saw on Facebook a fellow who claimed that he went to the CDC headquarters and what's his name? George Calando had paid him that over the weekend he would have assassinated George Weah, involving the former vice president, and they were on Facebook Live. They have done a Facebook Live and the recording of looking at, and that former Minister Samoka was involved. So when I look at McGill activities, I can see a shadow pressing in such an allegation to divert the attention of the public from the global Magnitsky sanction to that of President we are being honored by opposition leaders. So they would not have no time to discuss global Magnitsky, would not have no time to discuss the massive corruption that have been flagged by international body. It would not be about the risks of a popular Liberian president who seemed to be losing his popularity as a result of the ineptitude in government, and now people want to hunt him, which is another threat to our democracy by the upcoming elections. So it was being said at the CDC headquarters. So it is very important, in as much as I would believe that it is just not thinkable that anyone would want to overthrow President Ria at this time. I mean, it doesn't make sense. We've got a few months to the election. We can exercise our right next year.
We don't want that. Absolutely. We don't want that.
All of the brouhaha that hangs around the government and too many things to discuss that can make it unpopular. It doesn't make sense for somebody to say.
Why? Let me be a little bit ridiculous. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. So.
Yeah, I'm about to take leave of you. I will catch up with you tomorrow. I just could not hold back. I have to abandon whatever I was doing because the doctrine that you were preaching on this network was not a liberalization policy. It does not to reflect our democracy. It was too liberal, too extreme. If I question to you're being a liberal, I'm getting to the point what I'm going to question it. Well, it was good to be here because I saw you were driving this wheels 7-8 miles per hour, and you were trying to take advantage of the kindness of my dear friend and brother, Jonathan, like liberal. We're not in a classroom. You have to be reading and reading, and trying to get around the main subject. So it was good out here tonight, and I think it was a wonderful one. Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your talking point here tonight.
Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Well, are you not happy?
Yeah, I am happy. I will see you tomorrow.
Thanks so very kindly for the intro.
Thank you very much for your visit, Mr. So, and your contribution as well.
All right, bye-bye.
Again, folks, that's Mr. Francis Zionso who joined us here this evening. Jay, go ahead. Let's wrap this up now myself. Your point is well taken, but what I want to say to that very briefly is that why I have no knowledge of where this information is coming from. People can speculate and say perhaps perhaps people who are already in trouble are now trying to drag this whole country into a mess by suggesting or bringing these kinds of unfounded allegation and what have you. So I'll just wait and see how far we go with this. But I found that hard to believe, just like I did with Solomon Joyce's statement, which I know he's not a violent person. So we'll wait to see something coming on there. Is there anything else before we take leave of you here?
Just very quickly, it is quite wonderful being here today and tomorrow, which is about morning hour right now. I think it should be Tuesday in Liberia. Uh, the collaborating political parties through the LP and the ANC will be meeting at the Liberty Party headquarters on 19th Street, where they will be consummating their framework agreement. And the Liberty Party headquarters should be now the CPP headquarters, and the chairperson of that National Executive Committee should be Musa Hassan Belete of the Liberty Party. There are other constituent party, opposition party that will be coming, gracing the occasion, and there are hopeful opposition constituent party that are in the making of joining the CPP of Liberty Party and ANC to make them 4-5 and the number increase to a better one to set the agenda for the 2023 election. It was wonderful interacting with you, Mr. Toor, and let's keep the fire burning. We don't hate those who we talk about. We are only saying that in order to have a better Liberia, we need everybody on board, and we need to be honest with our people so that the wealth of our country can go around everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow then as well.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. So again, we say it's wonderful to be here, and we want to thank all of you again for being here. Thank you very much, and it's wonderful to be here. Basically, what we have here tonight is not about hate or anything. We're just trying to explain exactly what it is that we're trying to achieve here. We appreciate all of you that tuned in and made your comment and everything else. We'll say good night to all of you, and please stay safe out there. Good night, folks.